everyone. Today we are doing a very easy beginner mistletoe Christmas card. So the first thing you want to do is cut your card down to size and then pick 3 greens. Any 3 greens will work as long as they are coordinating. So I'm going to go with sap green, and I'm going to go on the lighter side of that, so more water than pigment really. Then I add olive to that to make it a little more yellow and a little more concentrated. And then I'm going to take the olive, just straight olive, plus greenish umber to give us a deeper tone. So one way that you can guarantee that your colors are going to coordinate so that you don't have something that's really bright and almost fluorescent and then something too dark is by carrying the colors over to the other colors. And what I mean by that is first I started with just sap green, and then I added olive green to that. So that's going to guarantee that this color is going to coordinate with this color because they have the same base. And then for the third color, as you see, I picked up olive from this formula and added greenish umber to it. So that guarantees that this is going to coordinate with that because they both have olive in them. So I hope that makes sense, but there's just a little tip on how you can make your colors coordinate easily. Okay, so first let's decide, do we want to leave room for words on our card or not? And this time I'm thinking no. This is a 5x7. I really want the mistletoe to take up a majority of the paper, so I'm just going to leave the text for the inside of the card. I will be using my Silver Ultra Mini number 2 for the fine details. I'm also going to use my number 2 Escoda for the stem, and I'm kind of debating back and forth. We're going to see how this goes, but I'm going to start with the number 6 of my Black Velvet silver brushes. I may have to go up to an 8, but we'll just wait and see about that. All right. So I think for the stem, we want to kind of get the center here, you know. And I think for the stem, I want to use the darker. You could go with the lighter, but I think I'm going to go with the darker. And we're going to pick our you could mark the center point if you want, but I'm just going to freehand it. And you want this kind of organic. So I'm not going to go straight down. I just want it to be and it doesn't have to be too squiggly. I just don't want straight lines. And we'll have one going off here and coming down this way. And we can always add to this later. Okay, that's pretty good. And I'm going to let that dry for just a moment. It doesn't have to be completely dry, but just mostly dry. So now I'm going to take my silver brush, and I want to keep it light. I don't want that sap to get too dark because I want this to be the lighter of the colors. And I always start with the light one first. I think I'll put one right there. Sap's a little bit on the bright side, but that's okay. One right there. And I'm just going to move around and put them in different places. I can see that that's still wet right there, so I'll just avoid that. And we want our leaves to be going in different directions. We don't want them all the same. And the reason why I'm starting with the lighter ones first is because I want to be able to go over the top of them with some of the other colors. So I think that's probably enough. Now we're going to move on to the green olive mixture. I kind of dried up a little bit, so I'm having to restir it. We want to make sure those are dry. This is a very easy stroke, and you can go in either direction. You can go from the point up or this way. I just find that usually works a little better if I go in this direction. So see, that color is a little more yellow. And I'm just starting at the tip, placing the whole thing down, moving it a little bit, and then lifting up to make it more narrow again. And really, this color is not a whole lot different from that color. I hope it's showing up on the camera. This is more yellow, but we could always add a little bit more of that olive to make it a little more yellow. And that was pretty saturated, so I'm gonna try to pick some of that up. I just don't want it that dark. And again, we're just moving all around. Okay, and we can always come back and add some more of this color if we want to. Okay, now we're going to the greenish umber and olive mixture. And this one, because it's so dark, I can cross it over. And I want it darker than that. I might add a little more greenish umber. And we can just go back over it. Ooh, and that's really dark. That's okay. I'm doing this from the side, so I kind of messed that one up a little bit. It's okay. We just want to get a good balance everywhere of all of these colors. Let's see. And we also want to leave some room for the berries. I think I'll add one right there. And I'm going to come back with a different color right here and maybe right there, just to balance that out a little bit. So let's go back to the sap and olive. Okay, I like that. And so just keep looking at it and deciding. Oops. Okay, I almost messed that up. I don't like that. Okay, I think it's time to add some berries. Clean this one up a little bit. All right, now let's let this dry and let's do berries. For the berries, I am just using a plain Windsor Red. I'm not really adding anything into it. I'm just going to keep it simple. And we can just randomly place them wherever you want. Just kind of look for little holes here and there. And this red is pretty heavy, so we can go over some of the greens. You'll just want to be picky about where you do that. I'm going to turn this a little bit so that I can reach it. And don't worry if your circles aren't perfect. They don't need to be. If I'm going to go over the top of a green, I just try to make it so that where I leave that white space, that's not on top of green. I think I put my hand in it there. I'm so bad about that. Putting my hand in wet paint. Even when I think it's dry, I still end up doing it. Thank goodness for Photoshop, because Photoshop you can correct that. If you can't lift it, which we'll try to lift that in a second with some water, but if it doesn't lift out, I can erase it in Photoshop. If I wanted to make a card out of this and print it or sell it, that's easy to fix. So the question is, when do you stop with the berries? I think that looks pretty good. And these berries are pretty bright, so we can add a darker red, or we could actually put just a hint of sepia in that red. These are probably already dry, so just want to put a little touch, like where the stem would be. And now let's put a bow on it. So we're going with straight Winsor red again, and just do a simple bow. Don't stress out about the bow. So I'll do the center of the bow. And I think I'm going to do a double bow. I haven't done one of those in a while. And I need to turn that. And don't worry about them being perfect. It actually looks better when they're not identical. And now I'll just kind of make it a little thicker in places. All right, put little tails on it. Got a little dry brush effect there, so we might clean that up a little bit. And let's put one on this side. Again, in a different spot. We don't want them exactly the same. And now, no Christmas card is complete without a little gold. I just need to make sure that that's very dry before we go to that. So while that's drying, let's just reconstitute our gold. This is the gold I always use. The Schminke bronze. I love this gold. Be careful, I don't want to spray it too hard because then it sprays it everywhere. But my water bottle's running out. There we go. Okay, I hope that's dry. And I'm going to do my center veins with this gold. And sometimes I go over this twice, especially these little lines really don't stand out very much, so they actually look better if you let them dry and then do it again with this gold. And you know, I think just to add to it, let's make sure that's dry. I think I'm going to outline my bow in gold. That might be kind of fun. And I think it looks kind of nice when it's not going exactly on top of the bow. Oops, I forgot the inside of that one. All right. Now those should be pretty much dry, so I'm going to go back over, especially the ones that look pretty light. I just like for the gold to jump off the page. All right, now I think we need some gold sprinkles. Let's try it with this brush. I bet this will give us some smaller sprinkles. Oh yeah. I usually go for the larger ones by using a larger brush, but I like this. Can you have too much? I don't think so. Okay, there you go. There is a very easy mistletoe Christmas card. Well, thanks for doing this with me. This was a quick and easy one. I hope everyone was able to do it without any trouble at all. If you have any questions, just pop them in the comments below, and see you soon.